Good morning. Happy Saturday. Hey, Katie B, Jill, Salem, Caroline, TCA. Oh, I'll give you a call. Hey, Robin, Hippie Sissy, Cheese. That's what we're trying to figure out, Cheese. How's everybody doing today? Man, I just came across, before I went live, I came across the post. I'm going to have to show this one to you guys. It's just, woo. Morning, everyone. Haven't listened to this case at all, but here to enjoy the time together and support. Oh, I love that, Katie. Thank you. Did you guys get a notification? I think that's the problem with starting streams like right prior to going live. I need to set them in advance. Hey, Alicia. Happy Saturday. Huh. I hate grocery shopping with a passion. So do I. It seems like lately you can spend all types of money and just get, you know, a bag, one bag. You did get a notification. Yay. All right, cool. I'm going to start planning on way more in advance instead of like 30 minutes advance. See, TO girl didn't get one. Are you Liberty Farmer? This one's just so bizarre to me. Good morning, Meval. Ninja. I guess it's not really morning anymore. It's still kind of morning for me. I'm lazy on the weekends. Hey, Christina, K Brace, Go Bulldogs, Miss Liverbird, Migsy. I'm so happy you guys are all here. um, I need to plan these out better so that I can make sure people will be here. But I just saw somebody post a post, right? And it's like as if they haven't done enough with the allegations, they have a little bit more. Let me pull this up. Hey, Green. And I'm with you, KDB. I haven't looked much into this. I've just started paying attention. It's just really bizarre. Vibes are so negative, Starks. Everyone is so irritated. Yeah, because the cost is insane. Let me get over to here. Hey, Goody Two Shoes. Not do a sir. I know. It's bizarre. I'm telling you, there's so many weird things here. So of course this just popped up. And it's like I feel like some people just intentionally do this shit because they have nothing else to talk about. Members has a new study session. Become a member today. Join the crazy train. Like other religious organizations, I mean, this is so professional. It's written like this, right? And institutions of trust. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has a long and disappointing history of child sex abuse. In the United States, hundreds of more SDA children have been abused. Everybody knows that's the church that supposedly Summer was a member to. Oh, the problem of Child M and the SDA Church, particularly intensified by the church large network of Seventh-day Adventist schools throughout the U.S. and around the world. These schools, especially boarding schools, why are people so desperate to put this on this baby's name? What is going on here that you would think a normal person would not want to believe that a child was SA'd. But for some reason, these fucking weirdos love to throw that on Summer. Like they're hoping for it to be true. They're doing everything they can to try to make it true or make it appear true anyhow. Hey, Jason, tattoos. I don't get it. Hey, Gary. Hey, Gladys. I know, Miss L. Hey, and Kim. It is horrific. I don't understand it. So that's the latest, if the, alleged images didn't sell you, well, let me tell you all how the church is. It's like, come on. What kind of friend doesn't walk their friends out and know they left or notice their cars outside? That there's so much weird with this. Even that tiny church in the middle of nowhere where that has like 50 people. Right. Doomsday cult. Well, you know how I am about religion, Cheese. Today we're going to talk about the 3 men that were found in the backyard frozen to death. But I just had to show you guys what Cher just did because, like, me either. It is pure evil. It is pure evil. Us normal people, we don't want to think that way. Cher would change her opinion again if Don would talk to her. She's just mad that he won't, so she's making him pay. It does feel that way, doesn't it, Cam? It does feel that way. Literally defamation of a missing child. Can you get any lower? Can we get any lower than that? Hey, London. So, I don't know why I feel like I'm losing my voice. You haven't heard about this, Jason? Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, of course it was her. Shocker. But when she was out here defending the Wells, because I can probably on private them. The very first videos ever made on this channel was that Cher was saying that the parents were guilty as well as the church. Then she became in contact with the Wells, and suddenly they were so innocent, and the church was wonderful. And it's like, here we are, 2.5 years later, and she's just circling back. And she does this every few months. She's pro-Wells, anti-Wells, pro-Wells, and it's all based on, like K-Bray said, if Don Wells is speaking to her or not. This case is bizarre if there's even a case. Not sure what the fuck the law is even doing about these men's death. They're doing nothing, it appears. Oh, yeah, that's right. They were both hitting on her because she's such a fucking stunner. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Some people really be on some real nutty shit, Jason. You got that right. Right, Leilani. Isn't she supposed to go meet her girl, Billy Joe? Hey, Boo Berry. This one is very concerning. Hey, Polish. Innocent like Leilani. She always does. She always picks the other side. Ah! Lily. Making oatmeal cranberry white chocolate cookies. Why? Oh, you just made me so jealous. I just saved recipes of things I want to try. I'm trying to figure out something to do with the kids today. As they're getting older, there's less places to go with them. Everything's so expensive. I mean, the fucking theater cost me like over $100. So I was trying to think of things to do, and I thought, let me look up some like cool recipes. And then I was looking at like plaster of Paris to see like if we can make crafts or something using something like that. So, but that right there, Lily, that sounds so good. That's what my whole stream's about, Jason. Have some damn patience. Gee golly. Hey, Two Skulls. I'll never forget that big ass banner as I quit and Simon's home. That was gross. Hey, what the crock? We got a burnt popcorn? You like? Oh, you like popcorn. You don't like it burnt, though. Okay. Hey, speculation. Civil suit is needed. Even then, people continue harassment, exploitation, all for misguided attention on themselves. It's a shame that the Wells aren't of a different. It's a shame the Wells aren't different because they would have the biggest YouTube case. Similar to how Critical K was sued. The Wells could do that. Hey, DC, for 1 month. Oh, my goodness. That is so awesome. Thank you. Did you change your photo too? You haven't heard about this one, Asian? This is insane. Who did I miss? Crime Brulee. There you go. Patience. He's a Philly guy. He don't have no patience. Hey, East Coast. We do have some really cool places, Gary. I would love to take you guys to some. Hey, KNS. Good morning. From covering case from different size angles was how you go about that matter. Cher does it in a very disgusting and dangerous way. Yep. Oh. I'll keep my mouth shut for now, Green. You should do the shrink paper crafts. A pack costs like $4, and they can draw whatever and make keychains or earrings or whatever by shrinking it in the oven after drawing it. I'll have to look in where to get that. Hey, Ice Queen, it's been a long time. It's good to see you. There's a lot of beautiful women in here, Cheese. Certainly is. Green knows what I was thinking. You know what I was thinking. We're just going to shut up, Green, all right? We're just going to shut up. All right, so I know Jason never heard of this. Sounds like Asian never heard of this. I don't know if there's anybody else who hasn't heard of this, but this is the one I have found to maybe, wait, how do I get to my, How do I do this? Oh, okay. I think this one would explain it the best. Oh, I know. I didn't take down my video from yesterday. It was blocked because of Paramount. So my video.
Tonight, a mystery in
That's
Kansas
why
City,
it's down.
Missouri. 3 Chiefs.
All right. Let me turn my volume up.
Tonight, a mystery in Kansas City, Missouri. 3 Chiefs fans found dead after a gathering at a friend's home to watch the team's last regular season game. Police headed to the residence after loved ones couldn't find the deceased. Officers reported locating one of the men dead on the back porch and the 2 other bodies in the backyard.
So, one on the back porch, 2 others in the backyard. 3 grown men celebrating the Chiefs. Hey, Brittany. Anybody's welcome to come up if you guys like to come up and discuss this, or, if you feel a certain way about it, and, we could have a little cool little paddle thing going.
You're grieving, but you're also mad because you don't know all the circumstances, but you've been hearing bits and pieces, and what you're hearing isn't good.
The trio, Ricky Johnson, David Harrington, and Clayton McGinney, missing for 2 full days from
2 full days, these 3 grown men have been missing. Do you know, first off, everybody he sits with hides their streams. I'm not hiding my stream. Paramount took it down. Hey, Spudler, good morning. Where's Walter? Oh, goodness. You behave. No, it hasn't. And it's actually crazy how long it's gone on. These guys had been best friends since high school. And the one, we're going to hear it, but the one, Davis partner says she never heard of the one guy. It's so bizarre. Hey, Robin, I'm glad you came back, and I hope you're not in trouble. Hey, Chris, good morning. For 2 days, they were missing. It gets weirder by the day. There's something fishy here. Yep.
Sunday, January 7th to the following Tuesday.
And wasn't aware of that they were missing until the police knocked on his door Tuesday night.
Attorney.
So this is his attorney, and his attorney is just making matters worse. I never seen an attorney say so many stupid things, and that's exactly what this guy is doing. Everything is stupidity. He contradicts himself. He's like on a media tour. Hey, Liberty Farmer, 50 hours before the family broke in. Southern Gal, hello, hello. But the dude's in the house alive, just chilling. Oh, yeah, sleeping for 2 days. Knocked out, earbuds in. Didn't hear anything. Was he in a chair, or was he the skinniest? Oh, that's a good question. His attorney keeps changing the story. Hey, Copa. Hey, Ellen. I love seeing all of you guys. This is cool because it's a Saturday, and, last minute stream. Wasn't sure how many people would make it, and I'm glad that you guys are all here. I'm going to start doing night streams as well to try to, get the people that are in different continents and can't make it during the mornings, the whole thing. Cracker Jack. This guy is, just looking at him, he looks like Cracker Jack, I didn't go to the backyard very often in winter, but didn't Willis get phone calls? Oh, yeah, and he wasn't answering his phone, messages, nothing.
John Paserno represents the homeowner. He spoke to our Kansas City affiliate, saying his client had no idea the bodies of his friends were right outside his door.
Said goodbye to the other 3. And it was his belief at the time that they left outside through the front door. And that's the last time that he saw them.
Kansas City police telling NBC News the homeowner is cooperating, and neither he nor anyone else has been arrested or charged with any wrongdoing.
No arrest, no charges. Hey, Sarah. But he is a homicide defense attorney. The tux is not back yet. It's not back yet, Gladys. I don't know why it's taking so long. I understand. I think I heard that they had to send it to another, like, out of state to have it done. I wonder if his sleep was for maybe what they had. They went outside and he didn't. Yeah, it's scary. Hey, Killshot. Good morning and afternoon to you. Yes, that's what I'm hoping to do. My theory is if drugs killed 3 guys. Well, and she recently spoke out, the woman on the screen, which is his partner, and she said he was adamantly against drugs, that they would have never done drugs, that there's no way he would have took them willingly. So we're going to get to that.
There were no obvious signs of foul play, and there is not believed to be any threats to the community, according to the investigators.
They were left out in the cold, and then they had to wait for their bodies to thaw out for them to do an autopsy. That's something that you don't ever want to hear.
Loved one.
Wait for their bodies to thaw out to get an autopsy. How sad is that? Spitfire, I told you to be on time. Okay. But their wallets and keys were on the table and their cars were outside. Yep.
Meanwhile, overwhelmed with loss and grief, but also confusion.
Nobody really knows what happened on that night. It's just, I don't have any answers. He has to know something.
She's the mother of the one guy's child. Hey, Damaris, good to see you. Colin, good morning.
Homeowner also facing backlash online. People posting on social media.
Let's read them. These were my friends. 3 men do not just go outside and freeze to death while the owner of the home, their friend, stays inside, and only when police show up, come outside in boxers like you've just been chilling for 2 days while your 3 friends are outside dead. So they did do that. He came to the door in boxers and with a wine cup. Hey, welcome, Ellen. Thank you so much. Make noise here, people. This story is not okay. He had been contacted for over 24 hours prior about where our friends were, and also their car still parked at his house, and didn't reply to anyone. Someone needs to explain to me how this could happen. How do 3 guys freeze to death in a backyard? Once the first guy drops dead, wouldn't the other 2 go inside and call 911? I just don't get it. CK20. What does that mean? Oh, Kansas Chiefs. Maybe. I don't know. I was going to sleep on this and wait to post till tomorrow, but I can't. This man, blank, was inside his home alive while my friends were dead in his yard for Lord knows how long. They were all hanging out since after the game Sunday. He knew people were looking for them. He read messages of people searching for him on Tuesday. My husband banged on his door for 20 minutes. My friend banged on his door and then busted a window, yelled and announced her presence while she's inside, and still nothing from him. Then the cops come 10 minutes later, and he comes out nonchalant in his boxers with an empty wine glass in hand. Nothing is adding up. Dave, Clay, and Ricky need and deserve justice. They didn't deserve this. Wow. Hey, Turtle, good morning. Right. People being inside his house after busting out a window wasn't enough to wake this guy up, but the police were?
Questioning how he didn't realize his friends' bodies were right outside his house. The medical examiner has yet to release a cause of death, which investigators say will determine how they move forward. Meanwhile, Paserno, maintaining his client, is shocked at the loss of his friends and is mourning them as well.
So this has hit him hard. If they were in distress, he certainly would have helped them.
In lieu of answers, the families and community are leaning on each other. David Harrington's mother creating a GoFundMe to help pay for the funeral costs.
How amazing. 11,000 out of 4,000 raised. That's amazing to see. Hey, Renee, good morning.
Writing, quote, I now have to put my son to rest. This was something we did not expect, as no parent ever does. I am asking for help today. The account getting $10,000 from one donor alone.
Oh, that's amazing. You would think that the football players would maybe help because this, their name's tied to this. The Chiefs are tied to this now. But that's amazing. A $10,000 donation.
Friends and family members also gathering to celebrate the lives of their loved ones.
We're just going to keep praying and keep going, keep sharing our story.
Stephen Romo joins us live on set. So, Stephen, this is such a bizarre situation. It's gotten a lot of national attention, which has led to TikTok detectives, social media sleuths, if you will. How are the...
Hey, Grouchy Mama Bear. Oh, it gets crazy. So yesterday, family members started speaking out. And what they think is similar to what you said, Spuller. That's what I'm not sure about. Go Bulldogs. Are you sure about that? I would love to know if that's how it was. That's what we were just saying in the beginning. Good morning, Bella. It does. What did it say? No. Let me look again. I think it said no. No ordinary moments. Let's look that up. No ordinary moments in Huntington Beach, California. This might be them that donated the 10,000. I'm not sure, obviously, but respite care for children and severe special needs. Could be them, not sure, but that's what comes up. There was a fifth guy. Yes, he finally came out and spoke out. Well, apparently they had to wait for them to it's horrific thaw out, and from my understanding is they sent it out of state to be done. I don't know why. One of the chairs has no cushion or pads. So people were saying that that's not an up-to-date photo, Spudler. I don't know, but they're saying it's not up to date. Extremely vocal, screaming for help. Also, you think the three would be strong enough to break a window to get in the house, right? Unless they were passed out and they couldn't do anything. That's the only way, because it doesn't make any sense. You have three strong men, three strong, healthy men, and they just froze. All right, so there's more. As I said, their families recently started speaking out. So the mother, so far it seems to be his, gosh, I'm going to say the wrong name. I'm not going to say a name just in case. But they're the two that are speaking out the loudest. Hey, Okie. Yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, Landon the Freak. Good to see you. It does. And all right, and the homeowner who was inside and allegedly sleeping for 2 days, he's a scientist. To assume that is believed they literally dropped where they were found. Right, like there's no signs that their bodies were moved. No autopsy released yet. Nope. That's a great question. We'll look that up. The one guy lived down the street. His kid's mother said he could have walked home. He would have gotten in his car. He would have gotten in the house. He would have prevented himself from just freezing to death. Oh, that would make more sense, Lori, that they froze after death. Well, let's see something. How? "50 to 60 degrees can cause death in 1 to 6 hours. 40 to 50 degrees can cause death in 1 to 3 hours. 32 to 40 and 30 to 90 minutes. 32 degrees or less can cause death in as little as 15 to 45 minutes." Wow, I never knew that. Have you guys known that? Did you ever know this? "50 to 60 degrees can cause death in 1 to 6 hours? 32 degrees or less can go. That's scary. I doesn't even sound like believable, does it? Words of a coroner. Just because they were frozen doesn't mean they froze to death. Thank you, Frenchie. I didn't even consider that until somebody else said it. It was -10 that night. They would have been signs if they were awake. Right, signs of struggle, right? Signs of trying to get into the house or trying to move away. But like stated here, it could have been after. Let's look that up. For if you were on the dark side of the earth or any object blocking the sun, it would take between 8 to 12 hours, depending on your weight and depending if you were alive or dead when you found yourself stranded in space. What? In space? Can you tell if a dead body has been frozen? So they would know that. Two to 5 hours for the entire body to be frozen? How sad is that? This is just such a sad, weird, crazy. All right.
And
Did the detective mention anything about drugs at all?
no, he didn't, but he's with the drug force. So, that tells you a little bit there. And
I want to go ahead.
I want people to know that whatever comes out, whatever.
He looks just like his mom. I can't imagine what this family's going through right now. So the fifth friend that was at the house said and the guy that owns the home both said that they went out the front door. That was another case that swept the webs. Hey, Millie. It's a hard one to compute. It just doesn't make much sense. There was snow on the ground. -10 is what somebody stated the weather was. I watched that and loved it. I'm so glad you watched it. Which makes you think those guys were able to stay alive, right? Somehow, some way they survived. But these 3 healthy young men in a suburban backyard couldn't? There has to be something to this.
Happened. These 3 men, they had families. They were hardworking. They were community people. They loved their lives. They had great lives. My son, he was an avid skier. He was a coach for baseball team. I mean, he had a full life. He wasn't a person that sat around and wasted his life.
He was athletic. He wasn't, I saw a chart that said that night it was above freezing. The next day it got cold and snowed. So he went out the front door, walked to the back, and laid down and died. That doesn't sound like more like drugs and no one noticed and froze. That's an interesting one, Cheese. Right, were they trying to crawl away, reach for help? That's a good question, Killshot. Hey, Catch Me If You Can. Best film. That was fantastic. That's what nobody knows yet. We're still waiting for the toxicology, but their family members are saying they would have never willingly taken drugs. But then again, to be honest, well, there was a time when I was on drugs and my family didn't know. It didn't take long for them to figure it out, but, it's not to say that maybe their families weren't aware of what they were doing. I get it. PBJ, hello.
This should have never happened. Not to my son, not to Clayton, not to Ricky. They all deserve for this investigation to dig deep and to find out, because I believe Jordan does know. And I'm asking Jordan tonight to please come forward and tell the truth, because he does know what happened that night.
Jordan is the scientist homeowner. It just seems bizarre that he has no idea what's going on. I still don't understand why Wallace and Keys and Jackus were in that house, and it was just believed that they had left. And who takes their wallet out to begin with for it to be left behind? You're right. I've never been to a party where the men take their wallets out of their pockets. Well, a lot of shit's laced with fentanyl nowadays, Melissa, Foul play, toxin autopsy reports can take weeks. You haven't heard of this one, Ella? He's a scientist, Brantley. Apparently, he was seeking a cure for AIDS. I don't know if that has any play in it. It's just a bizarre fact. You know what I mean? Jordan rented the home, but he is still alive.
He was there, and he's the last one alive. He's the only one that can tell us and give all of our families some peace. And I know he might be scared. I know he is probably sad. But he has to know. I'm sorry. He has
That's
to
okay.
know
It's understandable.
that we need.
Let's put some prayers in the chat. I can't imagine what these families are going through right now. This has to be the most bizarre and mind-boggling way to lose a loved one. I can't imagine. It's bad enough to lose somebody you love, right? For a sudden death to take place. But in this format, this is the type of shit that nightmares are made of. No answers. Doesn't make sense. It would drive me to insanity. And God bless their hearts, because I can't even fathom what they're going through right now. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And you had time to get rid of evidence, SD. Children's without their fathers, parents suddenly having to bury their children, partners with no answers. But even if that was the case, like the loved ones are saying, they would have gone to their cars. They would have broke in. They wouldn't have just, it was a suburban backyard. It's not like they were out in the Poconos where there's nobody around and they can't walk to any place to get help because it's too cold and too windy. And no, they were in a suburban neighborhood. There's no doubt. And wallets and keys and jackets.
We need answers. We need to know. We need to know the truth. And that nothing but the truth is going to work. And he won't get any rest. He won't feel good until he tells the truth. And I believe there was a lot that happened that night. And I believe he knows exactly what happened.
So I think my understanding, I believe it's this woman on the screen, the mother. She believes that they came across scientific papers, that they saw something they weren't supposed to see. And that's a good theory. It was -10 that night. Yeah, SD. Somebody would have let them in. They would have. It was so cold, they were giving out tickets free to the game. Yeah. They didn't suspect him of a thing, and then he got all that time to get rid of evidence and everything. I don't know. Let's see.
Jennifer, what do you think happened? What do you think is the cause of the deaths of the 3 men, including your son, David?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's speculating, that it was drugs. It could have been, I don't know. And if it was, then I want to know where it came from, because I know that the 3 guys did not have money to get anything. They were all, trying to take care of bills and their families. And at that point, none of them had money for that.
Peppermint, I was saying, I believe is this lady on the screen. I could be wrong. It might be his partner. One of the family members believe that the 3 men came across paperwork that perhaps they weren't supposed to see. The guy is a scientist that works from home. He was studying a cure for AIDS as well as other experiments. So they're thinking maybe he came across, they came across stuff they weren't supposed to see.
And the only person that did was Jordan. So if anything was provided, it would have had to been by him.
Jordan's the one with money.
And that's
Jennifer
where I
Marquez,
think
I am just,
that this may be
I'm so
going.
sorry that, I'm just so sorry that you're going through this. This is just so traumatic. And you're right. There are families involved, people like you who are grieving and are grieving in a mystery. I would love to have you come back as we continue to follow the story. We will dig on it.
Imagine cutting off the mother. You know what I mean? Just imagine cutting off the mother like that because your little segment's running out of time. So that was the mother. Now the girlfriend of the same guy comes forward. She goes on Como.
3 Kansas City fans. Oh, you know what? I'm not calling them Kansas City Chiefs fans anymore. Yes, they clearly are. They have on the
Right, but they have names. Thank you, Como. I'm so glad he said that because they are being just like Idaho 4, right? And people are so lazy and disrespectful to victims that we just give them a quick cover, a quick name. Idaho 4, Kansas 3. It was David, Ricky, and Clayton.
colors and the pictures. But I've been told more than once, let's not define somebody whose life is over by the football team that they liked. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Fair.
It is fair.
This has just become the headline. But let's move past it now, right? These are the men. These are the families. They had lives, full lives, not just football fans. They go to a buddy's house after the game. They wound up dead. One of them doesn't even have a jacket on, frozen solid in the backyard, all in their 30s, all healthy. David Harrington, Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGeady. No stab wounds, no foul play, we're told. The attorney for Jordan Willis, who's the guy whose house they were at.
Here's Jordan. There's Jordan. Good question, Okie Race. Good question. Hey, Megan. False team they like is gross. They're people, right? That is a nice name, Clayton.
Says through his lawyer, he certainly had nothing to do with it. And he doesn't know what happened when they left the house. Loved ones say they were looking for them pretty actively in the days thereafter. They weren't.
We'll play a video about with him as well, Southern Gale.
Found for like 2-3 days. They couldn't reach the friend who survived. Why?
Can you imagine after 12 hours? Hey, Julies, can you imagine even going 2 days with no answers before you finally go bust that window and break through? I mean, what do you do, though? You never suspect this. Probably takes, you think the next day, maybe they're hungover, they're sleeping, they're passed out, right? As the day goes through, you're like, well, this is getting weird. So now you call the one, and now they start coming together like, where, oh, he's not here either. Oh, you can't find him either. Oh, they're not with you. Wow.
He was out of it. He was working. Not great explanations. So hear it from somebody who was trying and who doesn't understand and who doesn't agree that this is just something that happened. Lori Cruz.
The only way he slept for 48 hours straight is if they were all under a substance, including him. Fiance found one on the back porch and called police, who found the other 2 in the backyard. It's like a scary movie. Oh, scary.
17-year relationship.
17
with David
years.
Harrington, one of the deceased. She's the mother of several of his kids. Lori, thank you very much for joining us. I'm very sorry for your loss.
It only takes, imagine a sharpened pencil sharpened as much as, it can be sharpened. The tip of the lead on the sharpened pencil, it takes that little dot worth of fentanyl to take your life. I know the messages on his phone said they were read, but did theirs as well? Jeez, we weren't thinking of a shank. Right, that's just what he's saying, that he slept.
What do you want people to know about what is so heavy on your heart?
18 months. Thank you so much, Sandy. All right, so she was with him 17 years. Let's see what her thoughts are.
David wasn't a drug addict like they're talking about. He was a good guy, very good guy. He went to church with us. He coached my son's baseball team. It's the mystery is out there and everybody's talking, and I can't rest because my phone's blowing up about, did you hear this or did you hear that, about social media with all these links, and it's not, those are not true, and it's rude, it's hurtful.
So they don't like she doesn't like, I'm not going to say they all don't, but she doesn't like the drug allegations being placed on him. And I could understand why, there's a negative stigma on drug addicts, and to say, oh yeah, they were drug addicts, they died because of drugs. I could see why that would be insulting, especially when there is no answer yet. There is no toxology. There is nothing to say that. Hey, Kathy. The lawyer initially said Jordan went to work on Monday and Tuesday, then he walked that back. The lawyer's been all over the place. Oh, and Booberry, he didn't hear his phone because he had his AirPods in. Yeah, the guys, Jordan and his lawyer are very shady.
It's not who David was. David didn't do stuff like that. He got caught in the wrong. He got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I don't understand how he could have, or, I mean, it doesn't make sense. 3 men dead.
It could have been something as the guy being a scientist and he's messing with different things to find a cure. Maybe something in the air of the home. Maybe something on the doorknob, could have been careless science for all we know. But you're right, Chanley. It doesn't mean they were addicts.
But I get to look at all the crap that's not true about him, and it hurts because that's not him.
It's easy for me to say, don't look at it, but I know it's suffocating. And I know that you have to balance what you're being exposed to with what you tell the kids and how you deal with the loss. And frankly, right now, while we don't know a lot of things, to me, that matters more. How are you handling that?
I didn't even consider that. How ignorant. I didn't even consider that. Some won't get that this is a big deal, but it is. 1 month. It is a big deal, Tucker. Thank you. Their children are old enough to come on here and hear all these. Andrea, I was thinking the same thing, to be honest. Okay. Their children can come on and hear all these things, just like the Welsh children can come on and hear all these things.
Handling knowing that whatever the explanation is, your guy's not coming home, and that you're going to have to explain to the kids. How are you handling that?
So I'm pretty open with my kids, and I've told them, and they obviously see on TikTok and such. TikTok's terrible. People are laughing about it, and
can you imagine on social media to have people laughing about your loved one's death? Man, I'll tell you, social media, it's she's right, it is horrible. Clearly, they were three great men who have died, and by all accounts, they were good fathers, good partners, siblings, sons, hardworking men with friends. They were good friends. Gives a good point, K-Breeze.
Well, they're laughing because they don't know the people, and my kids see that. So I've been open with them, and we're dealing with it, and we're learning from it. I don't know what's going to come up. I don't know if Jordan gave them something like they're talking about. I don't know if Jordan did give them something, but whatever comes up in it, David did not intentionally do that. David was murdered. Whether it's a drug or it has to be for three men to be dead. It doesn't make any sense.
See how she just came to the same conclusion? Thank you so much, Batgirl. She just came to the same conclusion. It has to be drugs. And nothing else makes sense aside from the drugs. But not willingly. They weren't willingly popping drugs, is what they're saying. It's what she's saying.
Does not make any sense to have three men dead, laying in the yard, and him asleep for 48 hours.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation.
Hey, no. So, yeah. It is absolutely insane. Here, let's see. Exit this out. One second. A lot of people don't like these two, and I knew that's okay. Hey, Dynamite.
Psychology preliminarily.
FBI agent, News Nation Law and Justice superhero Jennifer Coffindaffer. 8 weeks. Why?
You're
autopsy.
Right.
Why?
Well, it is being
8 weeks. It's been 8 weeks.
Sent out of state, Chris, which is adding a little bit of time frame. But we're talking about the toxicology here. That autopsy, I can assure you, authorities know, at least preliminarily, that cause of death. And I would even say the lead detective was probably in there with the ME as it was being performed. I know I was in there on my investigations when they were being performed.
But what is it? Wait, hold on, Jen. What does that mean in terms of, I get it, if there's blunt force trauma, if there's a hole in the head, if there's stab wounds, ligature marks, but I'm saying, do you know right away if it involved somebody having a substance or whatever the other opportunity is?
You're going to know to a degree because they're going to perform some toxicology preliminarily. The full screen is going to be sent off. And the other thing they're going to be able to tell are determinations about hypothermia. Did they really die of hypothermia or were they deceased and then freezing was a contributing factor?
Except the cops said that they didn't see proof of dragging them out there.
So there was no signs of their bodies being moved. There was no signs of that.
Right, which would be the scenario. And also, if the guy's Jordan Willis's lawyer is to be believed, they're not looking at him. Now, that can always change, but that they've said no foul play. What's your take on that?
No foul play, yet for 2 days he ignores all phone calls, all knocks at the door. And then to top it off, he quickly moves.
Well, my take is they mean foul play, meaning not strangled, not shot, etc., not stabbed. But I think they probably went outside and possibly smoked something. That something was possibly laced with what actually killed them, whether it was knowingly or not. Then they died, and hypothermia is going to be a contributing factor.
But if they smoked something, wouldn't there be well, maybe not because of the snow, right? Liberty Farmer? Okay, maybe not. I was going to say if they smoked something, wouldn't they be able to find whatever, if it was a joint, they find the joint. If it was a blunt, they find the blunt. If it was a cigarette, they find the cigarette butt. Wouldn't they have found something like that? But if it was, maybe not, if the snow covered it up. No, and Jordan was not tested. Jordan was not tested with the crock. Scientists would be smart enough to test the drugs before taken. Yeah, especially if they're drinking, yeah, I could see going outside for that. Hey, hippie. I don't think no foul play should have been said without having toxicology back because that could change things. I'm sure the police are keeping an eye on him. Absolutely keeping an eye on him.
Hey, thank you for watching.
Now, the lawyer, all right, he, my gosh, is annoying. He has changed his story so many times. He is on every podcast thing he can get on.
If all of that is true, there is still a question. It starts there. If all of that is true, there is still a question. This has to be about drugs. Booze, drugs, whatever it is. Because if they're not shot and they're not stabbed and they're all dead, it just strains common sense to believe they could have wound up in this predicament if it wasn't done to them without drugs.
Right. And that is the only thing that logically could make sense at this point, right? Hey, Brandy. When I smoked, I sat outside every time, below 0 temps. The smell from my garage makes its way into my house. Maybe being a scientist, maybe he had, stuff in the garage that they couldn't go in there and smoke. I don't know.
It is the elephant in the room. What is the position of your client?
As I told you last night, Chris, I'm not in a position to comment on that at this time for a variety of reasons, not just on behalf of Jordan. And when and if the toxicology report comes out and when we get it, I'd certainly be happy to comment on it at that time. I'm not going to speculate about the activity and the behavior of other people who were not in the presence of my client at some point in time that evening or early morning hours.
And look, we both understand the dilemma, okay? If the tox comes out and they had whatever it is in it that makes this a more understandable situation, he's now going to be chasing his responsibility as opposed to being in front of it and owning what happened that night.
Here's the thing. Jordan isn't even sympathetic. He's just bizarre about it. He's not even.
One of those is a much more satisfying thing in terms of credibility.
Weird.
You're aware that is the dilemma here.
Right.
No, I don't see it that way. And,
of course you don't.
He has an attorney, and I'm representing his best interest. And he did nothing wrong, and that's what we're saying. That's what we're maintaining, and that's what we're going to say, no matter what comes back in that autopsy report.
Right.
Look at his shady, shiesty eyes. The best thing his attorney could do is the same thing an attorney would tell you to do, which is shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? But this guy's on different, like I said, different interviews, he's giving out different statements, and they all contradict the other. There was yes, Dave's wife said their house was a mile away. He could have walked there. That he would have walked there. They smoked something with fentanyl. I wonder how long it would have taken for one of them to drop. It wouldn't take long. Like I said, it only takes the tip of a pencil. It only takes that amount to take your life. Right. Sip your lips. Don't say a word. Keep a low profile.
Well, something's going to come back. And I will give you a platform at that time, and we'll discuss it, because things just never don't make sense.
This is Jordan's, the homeowner's attorney.
Eventually, it will make sense, and responsibility will lie where it does, and we'll take it to its logical conclusion. John Paserno, thank you very much for being with us again. Yes,
I would like to address those the phone calls and the text messages if I could.
Look, Homo's like, sure, idiot. Sure, you want to address it? You can absolutely address it, idiot. You shouldn't be addressing anything. Right. Said he walked them to the door, then says he fell asleep before they left. He wasn't sure if they left. It was so many different stories. Look at
Since the
Como.
reporter left that hanging out.
Como's like, okay, idiot. Look at the smirk. Duper's the light. All right, sure.
John Paserno, thank you very much for being with
I'll let you go, you dumbass attorney. Oh, wait.
Chris,
yes,
I would like to address those the phone calls and the text messages if I could, since the reporter left that hanging out there.
Go ahead, because
Como's like, go ahead. This makes great, great for us. You can come up, Cheese. This makes great content for us. Go ahead. Tell us what you want to say.
the initial suggestion was he only got a Facebook message and nobody was really trying to get him. Malik says that's not true because the fifth friend says that he was getting messages and he was trying to find him and he wasn't getting his messages answered either. So what is it?
So I have sent your staff the records, his phone records, which I acquired this afternoon, and also the text message records. And during that period of time, the phone calls that came, text staff the records, his phone records, which I acquired this afternoon. And
he was trying to find him and he wasn't getting his messages answered either. So what is it?
So I have sent your staff the records, his phone.
What attorney does that? What attorney sends the records to a news broadcast? Why would he do that? Why would you send it? This is more about publicity and popularity or something. Why would you ever send what will be evidence to a news broadcast? Why would you do that?
Phone records, which I acquired this afternoon, and also the text message records. And during that period of time, the phone calls that came in on the early morning hour after the game on the 7th and the early morning hours of the 8th, all the way to the 8th, and then all the way to the 9th when the police came. The only calls that came in were one from his dad, which we recognize the number, and you have the actual numbers. Mm-hmm. And then the other calls, there were 8 of them that came in from what is a dummy number. He has a robo killer app on his phone. And so when calls come in that are unrecognized or for whatever reason, they read as this dummy number. I've dialed this dummy number myself. It's a non-existent number. You get a message saying whatever. It's a dummy.
Why would he have that though? Why would he have this robo app? Who the fuck else in the world has this robo app that if any unknown number to your phone calls, it comes in through a dummy number? It doesn't even make sense. What is that? That's bizarre right there. That's bizarre within itself.
Dummy number. And then the only other call that came in was all zeros, a call that he blocked again from a RoboCop.
That's because you know as well as I know that guilty through public perception is a real thing. So he's trying to prevent that from taking place. He is a true blabbermouth. Hey, Cheese.
Hey.
You got a little bit of an echo.
Hold on. How do I get off?
I don't know. I don't know what's called. Do you have me playing in the background?
I have you playing on another device, but it's not on the same network. Anyways, is it gone?
No.
I'll come out.
Hold on. Let me talk really quick to see if I can. Okay, I don't hear myself. It's gone.
What does that mean? Do I still have the echo?
Not an echo, no.
Okay, so what they were saying about fentanyl killing you, like it's almost instantly. And there's YouTube videos of cops that have been like taking fentanyl as evidence and smelling it and ODing and literally the other cops having to give them Norcam.
Mm-hmm.
That fentanyl is no joke. Like it'll literally kill you within seconds. And there's a lot of drugs that are laced with that because it's cheaper. It's cheaper, than the drug that you're taking. So they kind of cut it with fentanyl. But I don't think that's the case. I don't see these people taking drugs.
Like willingly taking drugs?
Yeah, like let's say they're partying, they're watching the game, and they like what they're gonna do some cocaine or some meth. It's
no, but smoke some weed or maybe even do. I can hear myself again. Do you have earbuds in?
Yeah, but I always have earbuds in when I'm on a panel. I just turned on. Did it go away now?
No.
I'm still echoing.
Yeah, you also have this weird like noise because it's the earbuds. Earbuds do that sometimes. But you don't think that maybe drinking they might have like rolled up a joint? It doesn't even have to be a heavy drug. Like doesn't doesn't
roll a joint and die from smoking weed? That's
no. But if the weed had any contact at all with fentanyl, if a dealer's dealing more than one drug and somehow the weed had any contact with fentanyl at all, I mean the smallest minute amount.
Yeah, I just think in the realm of possibility that'd just be outlandish. And as far as like, and I don't want to throw a bunch of conspiracies out there because when the toxology comes, we'll know. But typically when people freeze to death, they take off their clothes. I don't know if you guys know that, but if you think back to the girl who got lost in the hotel and she ended up in the freezer and froze to death, she was taking off her clothes, like her shoes were off and stuff like that. Because when your body's going through the process of freezing, that extreme hypothermia, it's hot. You feel hot, and a lot of times when people freeze to death, they take off their clothes. I would say most of the time. There's been cases where like those hikers in Russia that I don't know, all kinds of crazy conspiracies about that one, but they were all found like with their clothes off and stuff because hypothermia makes you hot and you take off your clothes when you're hot, right? It kind of contradictory, but that's really common. So I don't think these people died from the cold. They died and then froze.
Yes, that's a strong possibility.
I would say I'm pretty accurate on that one. You don't just die. Does anybody remember the case where that young couple was lost? It's somewhere in the Midwest or something. It was a few years back, but they were on drugs and they were calling 911 saying, where we're at, and then they end up freezing to death. I think the guy left the girl.
Well, it's actually, I just looked it up. It's only 20 to 50% of hypothermia deaths are associated with paradoxal undressing. So it's not.
That's a lot. 20%. That's a lot.
It says 20 to 50%.
Well, even more so, 20 to 50%. I mean,
it's called paradoxal undressing.
Yeah, because they feel like they're hot, but
and confused, combative. They may begin to harden their clothing, which in turn increases the rate of heat loss.
There you go. I think fentanyl could be a possibility. Kind of slim on mine, but the conspiracy of he's a scientist and all that. I mean, stranger things have happened. I mean, I know of cases where actually last week I posted a video on my channel of a guy doing an interview and he got shot in the head. The video, and I got a lot of slack for it. I took it down because it actually showed the guy's bullet going through his head. But he invented a machine that detects aliens from humans. For whatever reason, he invented a machine that could detect you if you were a human or an alien, right? And he was doing an interview for somebody, and bullet went right through his head. He got sniped by because there was a helicopter that was following these people. They're out in the middle of the desert, thinking that it's safe, and we're conducting this interview where nobody's around. So because he knew he was a target, or he thought he was a target, and then the bullet just went right through his head. And whether he invented that or not, who knows? But he definitely got shot in the head. And then there was a guy back in.
What does that have to do with any of this, though?
I'm saying they're saying like he's a scientist, and maybe people are shutting him up because he created a vaccine or something for AIDS, a cure for AIDS. That's what I'm getting from the implications of people like, oh, he was a scientist, maybe the government shut him, killed them all because he was onto something.
So, like the government came in, and instead of taking his life, they're going to take the life of 3 friends. That I don't I don't think so, because he's alive. They didn't take his life.
Oh, the scientist lived? See, I don't really know too much, but I'm just saying stranger things have happened. A lot of people have died by the government's hand for inventing stuff or for knowing too much. But I think to jump to conclusions is because everything's going to come out in the toxicology report. They'll know exactly.
You just took the biggest leap to conclusions. You think the government silenced them?
No, I don't think nothing. I'm just saying that stuff has happened before. That's not, and some of them aren't a secret. I mean, guys jumping out of windows and killing themselves and stuff like that. But that's not this conversation.
Yeah.
But I think they were poisoned by something, and whoever lived didn't participate, be it drugs, be it because you can't smell natural gas. They actually put smell additives into it, and carbon monoxide, you can't smell it either, and those things get in your lungs, and it stops the oxygen from absorbing through your lungs, and you pretty much suffocate. And that would be my guess, something along that lines.
But
if there was trauma,
the homeowner lived.
Yeah, but
so if there was something in the air of the homeowner, they would have all passed. They would have all died right there. You know what I mean?
Well, he could have been in a room with the window open. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but if there was trauma, they would already know it. If they were shot, stabbed, beat to death.
Right. That's exactly what Como said to the lawyer, that if any of that took place, there'd be signs of it.
Yeah, and then none of this would be in question. It's only a mystery because there's no obvious signs of trauma or why they're dead.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like, oh, they went out and smoked. You say you were sitting on your back porch, and it sounds like it's super cold. I don't remember how cold it actually was, but say you're out there smoking a cigarette or a joint or whatever, fighting with your girlfriend on the phone out on the back porch. You're not gonna just sit there and die. You get up and go in the house if it's that cold.
Right. Well, that's why they likely froze after death.
Yeah.
Because there's no signs of them trying to move.
Yeah, crawling back in the house or whatever. You're just not gonna sit out there. And if it's that cold, you're probably not gonna do what you went out there to do, right? But that's what I wanted to come up and say. And like I said, I don't know much about this case. I didn't even know somebody lived, but that's crazy.
It is. It's a crazy one. It's a sad case. I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they were Chiefs fans. I don't think that has any bearing on anything. That's a coincidence. It doesn't really need to be brought in the mix.
Right. They were just celebrating the game.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna stay in the chat. I'm actually doing laundry right now as I listen, but I'll be in chat.
You're a good guy doing laundry.
Yeah, I iron.
Keep it clean. Do you? Oh shit.
All right.
I'll see you, Cheese. Thank you. They already know what's going on with the autopsies, and they're not saying, shh, this leads me to believe it's foul play. Like they're just, all right, so the lawyer goes and opens up about the phone logs because, that matters, right?
As far as the text messages?
Yeah.
Robotech. Yeah. As far as the text messages go, what you have, there are a series of incoming text messages. That's all we have.
Hey, JC.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
You too. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Good. Yeah, I was just gonna kind of say about the Kansas City guys. It sounds a lot comparison to, my I'm gonna say they were friends because I went to high school with them and stuff, but I wasn't like super good friends with them. And they obviously were in college here in Omaha when, I was still like a senior in high school. I had classes with Janelle and stuff, but yeah, like they we're in a New Year's party, and we're coming back, and they called 911 like several times, and they thought they were somewhere else, but they were really miles away from their apartment. They like had like hallucinations, and I think that they thought that like cows were people. They were like they were coming home from the New Year's party, and you kind of have to pass through this county that at the time I don't think was as populated, but it was along the interstate, whatever. But hypothermia can make you do some really crazy things, such as leave your vehicle in a snowstorm.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that was, I don't think it was the hypothermia that made them leave their vehicle. I think it was the substances that they were on that made them leave their vehicle, but then because they left their vehicle in the literally, it was like literally negative blowout when this happened. And I remember that year because I was going to go out, I was going to go out with my friends and stuff, but I ended up, just staying home and just going down, I lived in in a town about, 20 miles away. And I'm just like, it's too cold. I'm not even, it was snowing and blowing and, negative temperatures. And I'm like, I'm not going to get out in this. So I didn't even go to my New Year's party that year. And, yeah, and then like it took him like maybe, I think he was found like the next day, but they were found like in a ravine kind of.
Wait, I'm sorry, because I don't know if I missed you saying it, or are you saying there was a local case to you similar to something like this where in a snowstorm their car got stuck and they exited the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they were found in a local, okay, I get it.
Yeah. If you look up in 2005 in Omaha, Sarpy, it's not Douglas County, but it's the county over, which it's a suburb. It's called Papillion or whatever. But the count, it happened in Sarpy County, but you got to go through Sarpy County to get to Omaha through where they were coming from. In Nebraska. But yeah, they definitely fled their vehicle. They thought people were putting cars in the trees. They thought the cows were African Americans or Mexicans and not speaking English. And I think it was because the cows were mooing that they thought they weren't, speaking English. They were hallucinating a lot. And they called 911 like 5 times. The apartments they lived in was called the Mandalay at the time. They've changed their name now, but I know exactly where their apartment was. I live not very far from it, actually. Uh, they said they were, one place, but they were way off. Like they were not even close to where they said they thought they were. And they were lost. Like because they were hallucinating, they were lost. It was just
And that was all due to the hypothermia?
Being mixed with what was in their system. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And this this Kansas City thing, this is just getting more bizarre by the day, and sounding kind of similar. They weren't like lost in a snowstorm or anything, but they still were out in freezing temperatures. And I highly believe that we will find out that, they were on more than alcohol and weed. You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't do something like that to you. But yeah, it's just getting a little crazy, I think. And is the homeowner changing his story?
The attorney is.
Why? Well, and someone was saying like, why is the attorney talking so much?
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird.
Isn't that bizarre to you?
Very bizarre. Most attorneys, especially if your client's not even under any, he's not guilty of anything right now. So why he's on this public tour to preach his client's innocence is bizarre in itself. You would think you would just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can
Well,
continue with your live thing if you want.
though, and this is a good point, right? So there was a fifth person, the fifth person that came to the house and apparently left before everybody. What if he's the one that gave something or did something to everybody, which happened to cause Jordan, who is a more recreational drug user, to just pass out, where the other guys that took their lives? That, absolutely could be the case too.
Well, and then yesterday, did you hear that there may have been a lot more people?
At the party?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I heard yesterday, and I don't know if it's just somebody running with something. I don't know if it's confirmed or anything, but I heard that there could have been several more people, like up to like 5 more people, because I counted, like in the picture, I counted, how many like blank spots there were for other people, and there could have been like up to 10 to 12 people at this place.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I don't see anything about that. I just see the same 5 people were there.
Like I say, I don't think that's confirmed, but that is something that you might run into that's been maybe going to start floating around.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure all types of stuff will start floating around, but I think if there was any more people at that party, I think it would have came forth already.
By now, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. The whole thing is just mind-boggling.
And to have one of them happen to, that would be one thing, but to have it happen to 3 people at the same time frame,
right,
is just weird. So I'm thinking, and I don't know, I mean, maybe the homeowner didn't even have anything to do with it. Maybe those guys went outside, or because we know that he said that they were saying goodbye to him and then he went to bed.
Right, but he changed that as well.
But then, I mean, they could have, not completely left, just acted like they were leaving, and then, went back in, and then went out, did some stuff.
But
and
that would be so bizarre. Why would 3 people pretend to leave and not really leave? That would be too,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that would be too weird. That doesn't even. Yeah, I don't know about that. That just sounds weird.
Maybe they left and came back and were coming back through the backyard and couldn't get in through. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that could have happened. But
yeah, but
the end result is
the 5th guy also has an attorney, which is weird. It's just the whole thing's weird. Especially when there's no foul play suspected yet. There's no crime suspected yet.
Right. And they're still not thinking that this is
not that they've announced
investigation. I guess they I guess you probably should, but it's just weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
So I'll get back to what the attorney said when it came to the phone calls, the whole robo thing. But a family member of one of the victims isn't buying the story they're hearing either. It happened at a rental home, of course. And then the attorney confirmed there was a 5th person at the house with Willis and the 3 victims that night. Paserno says Willis went to sleep while those 4 men were still up hanging out in the house. So that changes from the story he told before, which is that he said goodbye to them. Obviously, he didn't if he's now saying he was asleep. You don't just go to sleep while your friends are at the house. The new piece of information is part of the reason the families are frustrated. They believe that still more than 2 weeks later, they haven't gotten the full story. Just the thought of him dying. So what happened? When did it happen? McGeeney's family, they were found dead in their backyard. It's got a lot of holes in it. Like last time he saw them, they were leaving the house, but he didn't know they had left. That doesn't make much sense. So, like, it's right. His story just keeps changing. Like they're saying here,
it's not adding up.
Right now, he claims Willis went to sleep while the 3 victims and the 5th man continued to hang out in his home. When he would have people over at his house, yes, sometimes as people, they get tired. There are people that are very close to you and you feel comfortable going to bed and allowing them to leave when they want to leave. So we're supposed to believe that the homeowner stripped down into his boxers and basically fell asleep on the couch with earbuds in while he still had friends over.
I mean, you would. I mean, did he go to his bedroom or did he just like crash on the couch? Like,
he said they said he came from the couch when the police showed up. Didn't hear anybody banging at his door for over 2 days.
yeah.
Didn't hear the fiance break in and scream his names, but later, a few minutes later, heard the police knock.
And when the police knocked, he showed up.
Right away, showed up wearing boxers and an empty glass of wine. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like almost like he's trying to like overly play the whole, knocked out, unaware.
For 2 days?
Right. Doesn't make sense. Thank you, Southern Gale.
I mean, he can be maybe passed out for a while, but if you're passed out for 2 days over doing some things, that's a different level. You know what I mean?
Right, but not hearing somebody break into your house, not hearing somebody scream your name in your house, but then hearing the knock of the police. It just doesn't make sense.
And I'm sure people were calling him, like, where's your phone at, buddy?
Well, that's what this attorney's talking about now.
But now he can say, oh, his phone was dead. I bet that's what he's going to say.
No, he's saying that he had an app that passed out the calls, that made the calls not come through.
Oh my God. So he didn't get the calls.
Right.
Oh my
now he's
God.
going to tell about the text messages here. Let's see what he says about that.
Yeah. As far as the text messages go, what you have, there are a series of incoming text messages. That's all we have. There are no outgoing text messages. So the corollary to that, what goes along with what makes sense to that is when you and I get a text message, typically we're going to respond. If somebody texts you and says, hey, these 3 guys are missing, and they're your friend, you're going to respond. If Alex had said, if someone had said to him, the text message came in, why don't you respond? You would respond to your friend, right? That's what you would do.
Maybe.
The reporter wanted to twist my words when I said he didn't receive any messages. And technically I'm right. His phone received the messages.
Oh, there he goes, right? He's a fucking attorney when he starts playing those type of semantic games. Well, he didn't receive the text messages. His phone received them.
Yeah.
You were caught in a lie and you're trying to walk it back, sir. I mean, come on. Wow. I can't believe that's what he just said.
If you don't look at it, you did not receive the messages. I guess I should have said he didn't read the messages. And yes, as far as the text message from his friend, he did not tell me about that. And when I was informed of that, I asked him about that. And then he told me that's right. So
okay, so now like this attorney is more worried about his reputation than that of his client, because now he's saying, well, yeah, my client didn't tell me that. Well, why not? That's shady. And you're sharing it with everybody.
Well, he's trying, you know how like when you get a text message, you can get a notification about it?
Right.
And you can still read it, but just not open it. And that's what he is also trying to say, I think, is that but he didn't read it. He didn't get it. He didn't read it when the notification was up, and then the notification went away, and then he didn't open it. So his phone received it, but he did not.
Right, which is stupid,
that's what's
though.
About that.
A stupid way to try to play that.
Yeah, it really is.
And then Robo Killer is spam call blocker.
Mm-hmm.
Block 99% of unwanted calls and texts. Avoid annoying and distracting spam calls. Ensure you don't miss any important calls by making your own call blocking decisions. Know why callers call before you answer. So that doesn't make sense either. Like, why? I get, like, my phone knows when it's a spam. My phone will say likely spam.
Okay. Spam.
Right, but if I get a phone call, if my daughter calls me from one of her friends' phones, the phone number comes through. It doesn't say likely spam then. So the fact that he has this app and they're trying to say that this app prevented the calls from even registering on his phone, I don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
RoboKiller doesn't just block robocallers and spammers. We annoy the hell out of them too. If you want robocall revenge, your spam calls can be sent to clever recorded messages called answer bots, so they can see what it feels like to have their time wasted. With RoboKiller, you can finally get that oh so sweet revenge. What?
Oh my gosh.
RoboKiller analyzes all unrecognized calls using AI-powered audio fingerprinting technology. Fight bots, but a local phone number wouldn't come up as spam. It just wouldn't. So
yeah,
it's weird.
yeah. Because I get spam calls all the time that come up a normal thing.
Right.
I just know which ones to answer and which ones to not by now.
So I know if I unsubscribe as a member to retrieve our notifications. No, keep your membership, Summy. That's too much. Right, just turn the ringer off. This seems like they're looking into excuses. It doesn't even seem like logic. And here he goes, right? Well, he didn't receive the calls. His phone did. It's bullshit.
So there's 2 text messages, or excuse me, a Facebook message and a text message. And neither one he got before the police arrived at his home.
All right.
But the phone records that you have are consistent with him. If you look at them, the calls were early in the morning.
Yeah, we have.
Look at Como. Como's like, yeah, all right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have them.
Dad called at noon and he picked up. He didn't pick up any in the morning. He didn't pick up any in the evening when he would have been sleeping. There were no other phone calls. And the text messages, the same way. There's no outgoing text messages those 2 days.
Right.
Which, as you know, who can stay off their phone for 2 days straight unless you're principally sleeping it out of it and you don't have your phone around you? So everything is consistent with what he's saying.
Como's like, yeah, unless you're being shady, you're trying to hide something. That doesn't necessarily mean anything other than that. Wow. 5th person at Kansas City home where 3 men found in backyard. So that 4 days ago, it came out about the 5th friend. Conflicting answer stories. That's the one I wanted. Como does great with this attorney. He just lets him blab.
But does it matter? Is it material? Well, yes, because
well, you guys know as well as I know that you can absolutely look at a message without opening it. So it doesn't have to say read for you to see that a message was, hold on, open the window, that a message was there.
Exactly.
Hey, Barbie. So he could have seen those coming through and just ignore them. You don't have to open it.
Right.
He was passed the fuck out on something or super depressed, but they didn't test them. Why wouldn't they test the homeowner, the one living guy? Why wouldn't you test him? That makes no sense. Right. He could have been looking at it through an iPad or anything. Yes, they did say that they showed on their end as red. He does claim that he had earphones in, but still, it just... So for 2 days, your phone or whatever you're listening to was playing in your ears, but you're just so knocked out that you don't even hear people screaming inside your house. That doesn't make any sense.
No, not at all. Not at all.
None of it. All right, so the conflicting stories, answers and stories. Let's
if
see
you
what
didn't
these...
see them leave, that's one thing. If you did see them leave, then it leads to questions of, well, where did you think they were going? Why didn't you go with them, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea that he was unaware for days and not suspicious of what's happening in the backyard, and supposedly he has a dog, but the dog was sent to his parents' house or something. Why? Let's bring in the reporter who was first on the scene, looking into these details for Fox 4 KC.
Right. So why was your dogs suddenly sent over to your father's house?
Yeah. And I heard someone say because he knew that he wouldn't be able to let the dogs out for the time being when the people were deceased in the backyard.
Right. So he has an excuse for why his dogs didn't leave the house for 2 days. Never turn my read receipts on. I don't either, because if I want to ignore you, you're not going to know I want to ignore you. I don't have that on either.
Reporter Malik Jackson. Malik, nice to meet you. Thank you for helping me out on this.
He said earbuds, though,
Absolutely.
Chiefs.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Not
We
wired.
appreciate it.
All right, so now first, am I off in terms of my curiosity? Like, am I getting a wrong read on this, or are we right about the open questions?
I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of open questions, and more importantly, things have been said that don't line up. And so when things don't line up, what are you going to naturally do? Ask more questions. So I think you're right on target with this one.
All right, so in terms of what you're hearing from the authorities about what their assessment is to this point, my understanding is they're still waiting on toxicology. I've been told that takes a couple of weeks, but I thought that you got like a quick mix, like 1 or 2 days afterwards, that gives them something to go on about cause of death. What are you being told about what they're looking at?
So I spoke on the phone actually with the medical examiner that is dealing with this case. And basically, when there's no obvious signs of foul play, like no gunshot wounds, no stab wounds, it takes longer because they need those toxicology reports. And they have to send them out of state. So it takes 6 to 8 weeks already. But depending on how complex the results.
Why do they have to send them out of state there? I mean, why does Kansas toxicology reports out of state?
They had. You're saying they had to send the toxicology reports out of state?
Yeah.
They probably don't have the. They probably don't have the lab expertise that they need.
Huh.
Because I've heard that, and I can't remember. I think it was a case even here in Nebraska that we had to send to our lab, and then our lab had to send it to Florida, and then Florida sent it back to the results back to us, or something like that.
I don't get why, though. Of course, I have an ad blocker on. I don't know how to turn off. What do I say? Here's what we know. We don't know. I can't even look at it for a reason as to why. They're running an expanded Fox panel and may have to go to a specialty lab. Okay. I hope that's right. But by now he's conducting himself. He doesn't seem like a criminal defense attorney. I know. It seems like he might just get his own client in more trouble. Gail called in and told us Jordan has family employed on that police department. She said it's not just one. Yeah, but that, is there proof of that? Let's say, does Jordan... Dad of Jordan Wells, Kansas Chief fan who hosted party where 3 pounds froze that defense son and speculation mounts. His son is grieving. Police have said foul play is not suspected, but have stressed that it's not yet clear whether drugs were involved. Those were all good friends of him. He went to school with them. He was wearing noise-canceling headphones when concerned family members came calling, the lawyer said. He allowed police to search his rental home, leading to the gruesome discovery, which Willis said was the first he learned of his friend's death. Willis' dad defense of his son comes just hours after Harrington's own father said he's not buying Willis' version of what happened. His mother and I are both convinced that Jordan Willis played a part in this somehow. Here's the backyard. He was asleep for 2 days. There were 4 of you in the house, and now 3 of them are dead, and you're not. That doesn't add up. He added, theorizing that the men witnessed something that they shouldn't have seen. Okay, so it was his father that said that they think that he saw something they shouldn't have seen. Harrington's father. Basically, if they came across like some type of scientific paperwork or
something on his computer.
Right. I smoked some weed that was spiked without me knowing. It was scary, just like the story caller just told, but my story is wild as fuck, long time ago. Hey, Mickey. But my noise canceling earbuds only lasts 12 hours. Right, 48 hours. Can't do the test. They need to outsource a lot of money. Don't have the labs needed. So it's okay. So it's his family that believes that they saw something they shouldn't have seen. Which could be, you know. It is weird. Very weird. All right, let's go back to the conflicting answers.
Get them, it could stretch longer than that 8 weeks. So we are in this waiting period right now, and we really don't know when we're going to have these answers. And at the end of the day, Chris, and I know you understand this, there's 3 families. It's interesting. We don't know what happened. We all want to know, but there's 3 families right now that have no idea how their loved ones are gone. And the idea of having to wait maybe longer than 8 weeks, it's frustrating for them.
So what did the 5th guy have to say, who was there but not the whole time? He left. What did he have to say? And Malik, let me know what your 2 biggest open questions are, and I'll put them to the attorney for you afterwards. So what does the 5th guy say? And good on you for getting an interview.
And why didn't the 5th guy come forward immediately? That's bizarre, too. It's just bizarre.
And what are your questions?
So the 5th guy responded basically saying, because we spoke with Jordan Willis's attorney, John Paserno, on Monday. And after when we spoke with him, he told us that Jordan went to sleep. So it was a different story that he said in the statement on Saturday that he released. It was a different story that he told Ashley Banfield hours after we sat down with him. And we have it on tape. He said his client went to sleep, and so that these men were still in his house. So when I talked to him, my first question was, well, when you left the house, were they still alive? Were you the last person to see them alive? And he unequivocally said that is untrue. I was not the last person there. I spoke with his attorney, and his attorney told us, he was there until a little after midnight. And when he left, all of these men, all 4 men, so the 3 victims and Jordan Willis, they were awake, they were there, and they were watching Jeopardy on TV.
Watching Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Jeopardy. Watching Jeopardy on TV. Is Jeopardy?
It can be. I know what you're gonna ask. Yes, it can be on, like, it just depends on like your channels and stuff. But yes.
But what is January 7th? Isn't that a weekend?
It was.
I mean, I know you can play any show at any time, but what are the odds that these 3 men, after watching this football game, are now sitting around after midnight watching Jeopardy?
Well, the game got over like 4 or 5 hours earlier.
Right.
And then they must have just decided to watch some like regular TV and turned it on to Jeopardy. I don't know.
I don't know. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
Before someone put them outside, they said there was no signs of their bodies being moved. Welcome, Mickey. Thank you. I watch Jeopardy too, but I don't usually, that's not like our highlight is to watch Jeopardy after partying all day. I don't know. It's a little weird.
My questions are, Chris, at this point are simply, so at first we were told he only received messages through Facebook. Okay. Well, then once we hunted down the person number 5, this mystery man, then that changed, because when we talked to him, he said, yes, through his attorney, that he texted Jordan on Tuesday because he had received text from Clayton McGeeney's fiance and Ricky Johnson's mom. So
right. So at first, the homeowner, Jordan, is claiming he didn't get any actual text messages, just Facebook Messenger, but he didn't receive them. He didn't see them. It wasn't until the 5th guy came forward that he finally acknowledged, okay, yeah, I did get some text messages, but the others, this Robo app, intercepted them. And it doesn't even make sense. When Jeopardy was on there, they placed games, dice, and watched Jeopardy after the game. And David even texted a woman around 5 then, right before 12, asking how she was feeling. Wait, what? texted a woman around 5, then right before 12, asking how she was feeling. I still, when they say, "And your host," I always say, "Alex Trebek," and it's not him anymore. It's sad. The phone stuff is so easy to prove. Metadata and iCloud are amazing at recording absolutely everything. Right. Yeah, apparently he answered and then started blowing up Jordan. They say Jeopardy is some kind of drinking game.
So he had received text. So he inquired to Jordan asking, about the whereabouts.
And
so
those weren't
why
answered.
Did that, exactly.
Yeah.
So why did you only got a Facebook message and then now it's, I got text messages? And then my other question, I think it's your question, which is, okay, so did he escort them to the door? Was he asleep? And when did he see them exit? Because the first statement he says, I didn't see them exit the house.
Right.
And then in the same paragraph, it says, actually, the last time he saw them is when they exited the house.
Yeah, so in the initial statement by the attorney, it does say, like, less than a paragraph after saying, he didn't see them exit. It does say the last time I saw them is when they left the house. Within the same written statement by the attorney, it contradicted itself, and less than a paragraph later. That is crazy. That is some stupid shit right there.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you either did see them leave or you didn't.
Right. It's that simple. It's not a matter of, either you were sleeping or you're awake. They left or they didn't. Obviously, they didn't leave.
All right. So, and I'm going to go to break, but I just want to ask you this. I'll talk to the lawyer on the other side of the break. But did the guy number 5 give you any indication of how hard they were partying and what they were doing?
No, he didn't give us any indication of that. And when we talked to his attorney, when I talked to Paserno, that is the question that no one seems to want to answer. What were they doing? Were there drugs involved? How much alcohol was involved? Those are just questions that at this point we haven't been able to get the answers to. But, as we've done all along, if you don't tell us, guess what? We're going to go out there and we're going to find them.
Hey, thank you for watching.
Right, but why didn't you find them first by drug testing the homeowner? I can't believe they didn't do that. I can't get over that. You didn't even drug test them. I don't. Something's weird.
This just, like I say, this just gets more bizarre by the day.
It does.
And the more, things I find out, the more questions I have, and I think we're going down a rabbit hole.
Oh, absolutely.
You know
and
what
it's
I mean? Like,
continue that way until the toxology comes out. Even then, it's still going to be a rabbit hole because it's going to be a matter of, the family saying, all 3 of the men who were found deceased, all their family members are saying they're not addicts. They're not people they weren't recreational drug users. They weren't drug users. Jordan was, because his attorney said he wasn't tested. Hey, October Chug.
now I didn't hear that part, so that kind of throws another wrench into stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
If they weren't users,
he could voluntarily. Sorry.
If they weren't users and he was,
he might have had a higher level of tolerance than they would if there was something, and it could have just passed him out, where with them it took their life. But then you still have the question of, how did they all end outside at the same time? How did all 3 men end up outside, 1 in a chair and 2 in the lawn?
And then also, like, did he put something in a drink of theirs, or, like, did he do something to make them?
Right. Possibly. Well, and then, like you're saying, Petra, the 5th person, with David texting a woman right before midnight, semen normal text shows me he was fine right before midnight. The 7th verifying the 5th person's account. But then it makes you wonder, did the 5th person do something? You know what I mean? Did the 5th person distribute something? And when he realized shit was going left, and, here's Jordan passed out, and he goes out back to the 3 men who, I don't know, maybe they went outside to smoke whatever the 5th person brought, and he notices that they're not breathing. So then he rolls out. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. The 5th person also brings in another wrench.
Yeah. They didn't search the house. Nope. Now the Jordan up and moved from the house, which means any evidence has been shifted about and around. They did say they were frozen. They had to wait until they Their bodies thawed out, which is horrific.
But my question is, was Jordan moving before, and then just like this was just like a last, like a last party house, hurrah, or did he decide to move like right after all this happened? But you can't just, I mean, because you can't. I mean, you can, but most people don't just up and move immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could have also, oh, I got an ad blocker.
His body was found behind this Northland home.
He's huge. He's everything. He is a brother. They are missing him and they are brokenhearted.
Marquez said her son, David Harrington, went over to his friend's house to watch the Chiefs game on Sunday. Fast forward to Tuesday. No one had heard from him or his other two friends, Clayton McGeeney and Ricky Johnson. Friends and family tried to contact the person who lived in the home over and over again to no avail. Finally, the fiance of one of the victims went to the home and after banging on the door, broke in and discovered
There's the
one of
broken
bodies.
window.
Police would later come and discover the other two. The man who lives here, according to Marquez, was home and answered the door for police. He would later tell his family that his friends simply froze to death.
I'm furious. Everybody's furious. Nobody believes this story.
Marquez just wants answers. She wants the people responsible held accountable, and she wants the impossible. Her first child, her joker. She wants David Harrington back.
Oh my gosh, he was the funniest guy ever. He would tell a joke or just, he'd act silly and he'd have the whole room laughing.
That's so sad. I was hoping it would give us information about him moving. He has now moved out. Oh, not only did he move out, but he deleted all of his social media. How the fuck do I allow ads on here?
That is just really sus.
Where, bud? Can you come do it for me? Let me see. My son might know how to take the ad blocker off. Ah, that easy, huh?
I mean, all this stuff.
Thank you.
All this stuff is just getting more sus and more sus because he moved out right away, and now he's deleted all of his.
Yeah, Chiefs fan, HIV scientist Jordan Willis, whose three friends were. Yeah, this is all of it's bizarre. So, claims he said goodbye to his friends, two of whom he known since he was in high school, then crashed on the couch. Say he was asleep on the couch. Short time later, he went upstairs to bed, leaving the doors unlocked. The three men, he says, then returned to the property at some stage and went outside. That makes no damn sense. All three left, and then all three came back to go outside. There was a fifth man in the home on the night in question, a buddy who Willis says left earlier than the other three men. How would he know if he went to sleep? He has nothing to hide. He went to the police station and spoke with officers without a lawyer present. He allowed them to search his home. These were his friends. He brought tickets for them all to go to the next Chiefs game. He didn't want any harm to come to any of them. So that's the other thing. Out of all of them, apparently he's the only one that had money. Whatever, broken a window. Right, I said the same thing. Imagine waiting 2 days to search for your loved ones. It's just bizarre. He slammed internet sleuths and those assuming he is to blame, calling the speculation unfair. Answer questions about whether men were using drugs. The results of the medical seminars of toxicology report have not yet been released. He spent the next 2 days in his home, not thinking anything of the fact that his friends' cars were still outside, and only learned they died when the fiance of one of the men broke into the house on the 9th. After he waved the men off January 7th, they returned while he was asleep to hang out in the living room. Maybe they didn't want to go to a bar or hang out somewhere else. That doesn't even make sense. He worked from home, and his two dogs were at his father's house, so they did not require walk-in. For 2 days, the families of the victims say they bombarded Willis with phone calls and Facebook messages asking where their loved ones were, but received no response. So remember, he's claiming he only received one Facebook message and that only a few phone calls came through. The fiancé broke in on January 9th and found the first body. She called police. Officers arrived to find Willis in his underwear with an empty glass of wine in one hand. So he comes to the door in his underwear with an empty glass of wine. That sounds like he was trying to set up this whole like, dude, where's my car type of, like where the fuck am I type of thing.
Yeah.
The death remains a mystery. Police say there was no foul play and Willis has not been charged or arrested. Yet to reveal how the men died or what kind of conditions their bodies were in. Willis, through an attorney, has denied wrongdoing. Willis was a relative. Here's the backyard. Was found on the back porch of the property by the fiancé, who broke in after receiving no answers. 2 other bodies were found in the backyard. Police initially said there was no foul play, but yet to confirm the cause of death. Men had frozen his backyard. He has now moved out of the property and deleted all of his social media accounts. That could just be, though, because the fact that like internet sleuths are coming by and bothering him. He's an accomplished scientist whose research into COVID and HIV has been praised in the medical world.
Yeah.
He described his 2 pit bull mixes, Sadie and Daisy, as the light of his life. International AIDS Vaccine Initiative's website. He is the senior principal scientist, data analyst, and interpretation for the HIV vaccine trials.
It sounds like he was, from everything that they're saying or I'm hearing, it sounds like he was pretty kind of a high up, person for,
in his field.
Yeah.
And he was pretty well off.
Mm-hmm.
Could have gone to scam if he wasn't friends with all the senders. Absolutely.
Do we have, once again, the problem is do we even have a motive?
No, but like the father of the one is saying he thinks that they saw something they weren't supposed to see.
Oh, yeah.
The mother thinks that they just, got their hands on something that was laced.
Yeah.
Let's do a poll. Do you think Jordan did something to the 3 men? Let's see what you guys think. You don't know. You probably yeeted the trial vials. That's why I'm concerned about toxology. I hope something shows up. That's true. I'd want to move as well. He moved rather quickly. Must be nice to be able to up and move that quickly, but the lab scientist is doing recreational drugs. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah. You don't need a motive. Conspiracies, total accidental death, in my opinion, really. You know what? It could have been, Katie, it could have been that he did it unintentionally as well, Like I said, maybe he has some type of experiment going on in his house that, I don't know, maybe got into the lungs of the 3 men that weren't used to the exposure of it, where he, living there, was used to the exposure. I don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And here's Ricky, father of 3. David, whose family and partner's very outspoken. And here's Clayton. The Virginia native graduated PhD in chemical and physical biology. He previously studied chemistry and molecular biology. He received an award for his significant contributions to HIV vaccine development. In the intro section to his now deleted Facebook page, he wrote, walking the line to be the funniest guy in the room and a full-on mental breakdown. While on another social media platform, he's self-proclaimed man about town. I don't know. It's guys who are non-committal tend to wreck. They don't want to be bothered about being tied down in one location. Also wears protective gear. Well, it is weird that he was working from home. He's not inside a lab. I don't know. This is a bizarre one. Let's see what you guys are saying on the poll. So far, 64% of you say yes, Jordan did something. I don't. It's a shame if Jordan is totally innocent and he just comes across as guilty. And then let them all die in his front lawn. And well, his back lawn, Carrie. But you're right. Why would he? That is kind of like the same thing though with people are saying in the Karen Reed. Why would if the people that are saying that Karen didn't do it and that the police officers and the homeowner did it, why would they leave John O'Keefe's body on the front lawn, right? I should have added that, Polish. You're right. Imagine out all three of your buddies deceased at your home. That'd be terrifying. A mind F. The house wasn't quarantined. He had a lab in his rented home and was able to move immediately. Yeah, back lawn. They could have seen something they wasn't supposed to. I mean, you got to remember, this guy's also looking into COVID, right? I don't know. I just... Hey, AT, I have a feeling fentanyl is in the mix of this. Just my opinion. I wonder if he was possibly manufacturing his own drugs and test them out on these poor innocent men. Or maybe just one of the particles of whatever substance he was using to manufacture the cures got into their system somehow. Hey, Night Stalkers. Good to see you. Reminds me of Jennifer Dolo's case. I don't think her ex-girlfriend did it, but I think she knows something and it kills me. Kind of like people feel with Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts.
Oh, yeah, more stuff is coming out on that. Did you hear about all that stuff?
No, what?
Just that I just found out more that, like, there was phone calls and she deleted them, and I don't know. Now I kind of think she knows more than she...
What, Nicole Kessinger?
Yeah.
You're just finding that out, girl?
Yeah.
Are you newer to the case?
No.
Oh. You didn't know that? You didn't know she deleted and broke her phone and deleted all the calls and messages?
Knew it, but I didn't know that it was, like, confirmed, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she even broke the SIM card so the police couldn't investigate her phone.
Yeah, and also the weirdest thing about that was her dad was in the interrogation room with her.
Yeah, but she wasn't a suspect. So it's people say that's odd that he was there, but given she's not a suspect, she's allowed to have him there. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't an interrogation.
Oh.
Yeah. It was more like a witness. It was more like it's not an interrogation. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it.
I know what you're saying.
That's true, Copa. If he knew something, he could give closure, but legal reasons he won't. Or it could be where Cheese jumped to, which is the government did it. You know what I mean? Or it could be Occam's razor. They, something was in something that they went out back to smoke and they ended up dying and freezing.
Do you know what the temperature was that night?
Somebody said it was -10.
I don't think it was that cold, but
I know it was so cold that people were giving away tickets to the game.
Okay, so it may have been.
Yeah. So the loved ones of the men are, however, speaking out to demand answers. They said the police are not doing anything to solve the mystery of her son's passing and called for the owner of the home to be at least investigated. That he heard the owner of the home had animals that would need to go outside and claimed the city didn't get enough snow to submerge the men for them to be hidden for days. Wow. It wasn't enough snow to hide the men. How somebody would at least be investigated anyway. We've heard that he's moving out as well, so we don't know if he'll even be sticking around much longer. So they're afraid he may run. And here's Johnson with his now fatherless children. Man. Oh, he said Johnson and his two friends were inseparable, but he did not know Jordan Willis and hadn't heard how his brother met him. So that's the other thing. The family saying they knew of the two other friends, the two other deceased men, but they weren't very familiar with Jordan. They didn't even know that Jordan was a friend. That's weird. How did they? But then on the other hand, they're saying that they were all friends since high school. The father said that he was friends with these guys since high school.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's so many conflicting things out.
Oh, Johnson's father raised the possibility of legal action. He has retained an attorney, is waiting for a search warrant to be issued on the home. I'm not going to stand back and let it go. I will go until the day I die to get this figured out. Wow.
Well, the home should have been searched a long time ago.
Absolutely.
If it hasn't been.
Wow. Timeline of events. The three men go to Jordan Willis' home on January 7th to watch the Kansas City Chiefs game at 3:25 p.m. At some point during the night, Willis goes upstairs to sleep, leaving the three men and another unnamed man to hang out in his house. January 8th, Jordan Willis claims he did not leave his home this day, so he didn't realize the victims' cars were outside. Loved ones of the missing men start trying to contact Willis, who doesn't respond. On the 9th, Clayton McGeeney's fiancee breaks into the home and screams Willis's name after 2 days of no communication with her partner. She finds one of the bodies on the back porch. At 9:51 p.m., 3 bodies are found at the property after police perform a welfare check. Wow.
Yeah, I heard that she found the guy on the porch, called 911, and then when the police came, they found the other 2 in the yard.
Yeah. The whole thing makes no sense. And at 9:51 p.m., when the police knock, suddenly
here he comes.
Right, he hears it, but he doesn't hear her inside his home screaming his name.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. This one's going to be a headbanger for sure.
Yep.
Very suspicious. I'm very interested in toxicology reports. That's going to, the sooner they can get them out, the better. If they put them out, it just sounds like his lawyer will. But something's not making sense.
Yeah.
And I want to know. So apparently, Jordan was a good friend of the 2 guys. They not a good friend, but they known each other since high school and everything. The third guy, Johnson's family, saying they never even heard of Jordan. Jordan was not a friend of Johnson's, but yet all 3 of those men were friends since high school. Jordan's rather new to the group, and Jordan comes in. He's kind of the wealthy friend. He's the friend with access, to party, to go to the Chief games. He's buying tickets for everybody. Makes it, I don't know. Were they test studies for him? Could I don't know. Could be. Hey, oh snap. First they were in the backyard. One was slumped down in a chair. One was by the door, and the other was in another area of the yard. It makes no sense, Victoria. Let me look. Hold on.
But my question is, I guess, if they were outside in the backyard, how did they get there? And was the door to the house locked? Like, did they even try to come back in? Like,
no, the doors weren't locked, they said.
That's strange.
Yeah. But she thought, but all right, but yet the fiance, so the lawyer said he didn't lock the doors. But here it says that the fiance tried the doors, tried the gate. Eventually, just her phone was saying that Clayton was there. You know, it was pinging off his phone. So she knew something was up. So then she went and broke the window into the basement. The woman removed the screen and broke into the house through a window, the basement window. So the doors were locked for her. So then the police, she went inside, was calling out Clayton's name. Police statement, officers responded to the back porch and confirmed there was a dead body. Upon further investigation, officers located 2 other bodies in the backyard. So here we go with the weather. Kansas City had a high of 37 degrees and a low of 29 degrees with trace amounts of rain and snow on January 7th. Temperatures dropped to right around freezing just before sunrise on the 8th, and there was some snowfall. Man fell asleep at the 3 friends' house. I don't know. This is weird. So we don't even know if the doors were locked or wasn't locked.
Yeah. And they could have been out there for a while too.
Right.
Because you're not going to freeze to death in 37-degree weather. However, if it snows and then it gets to freezing, depending on how long you're out there and what your condition is.
Actually, it does say you can freeze in 37-degree weather after a few hours.
Really?
Yeah. That's very true, Kay. You're right. Just because the police, just because we haven't heard that they found something does mean they haven't. Thank you so much, Mickey.
Well, and I guess it depends on, like, if the sun was shining and it was 37 or if it was cloudy and 37. And it kind of depends on what it had done before, too. Yeah. But freezing to death, I think that's pretty rare, but if you're out there for a long time now, that's a different story.
Unless they froze after death, which makes the most logic. Yeah, the wind chill factors too. I don't know. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one. This one has my head spinning, as I'm sure it does all of you. Let me see what the results are at.
Yeah, and I'm not far from Kansas City, and we get a lot of the same weather, and I do believe it was around then that the wind chill was pretty crazy.
That's what I was saying, Kay. Yeah, it's very odd case. So 65% of you feel like Jordan possibly did something to the 3 men. I should have added the option of unsure, so I apologize that I didn't. This is one I am personally going to stay on top of. I'm very curious of this. The 5th guy said the dogs were there, though, correct? He did, and yet others are stating the dogs weren't there and they were at the father's. That's why there's so many conflicting stories, even from Jordan's attorney, which is what makes this all the more confusing, because if it was Occam's razor, there wouldn't be so many conflicting timelines and stories. And a 5th guy just appeared, 2 weeks later, we find out a 5th guy was there. And a lot of it doesn't make sense. So we're definitely going to follow it and pay our respects to the men that lost their lives. If you all could, please throw some prayer hands for the loved ones. There's, again, parents that are burying their children. There are now children that are fatherless, their partners, their friends, their families. I couldn't imagine what they're going through. I appreciate you coming up, JC. It was really nice meeting you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope to talk to you again soon. I love having people come up. So thank you for coming up.
Yes. And I just thought I'd come up, just because, of, my situation with my friends that died in the snowstorm, it being pretty similar to this case. So
very similar. Yeah, I appreciate that insight. Thank you.
But yep, I will talk to you later.
All right. It's nice meeting you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You as well. Thank you guys for all the prayers in the chat. You must have had that blocked via robocall too. Right. Everybody, even his friend, everybody's blocked through robocall. I'm telling you, look into that robocall. I know I pulled it up here, but it's a very bizarre app. Doesn't even make sense, honestly, that this guy who's a, scientist, you would think he'd receive all types of phone calls. I just doesn't make, a lot of it doesn't make sense. If you haven't, please hit the thumbs up. I appreciate all of you being here today, remaining respectful. I know, we can jump down a lot of conspiracy theories, but I think for right now, the toxicology report is going to tell us, and then we'll see from there. And just because Jordan has not been arrested or anything does not mean he won't be arrested, as pointed out. Just because we don't know everything doesn't mean they don't know some things. And yeah, I'm very curious to see where this one goes. And I hope that whatever comes of it, the family finds some comfort in the answers that they eventually will receive. Wow. It not surprise me whether new or has something new. Right, Pamela. It could be that. Hey, Tammy. Roberta. We absolutely have to wait. Oh, that's okay, Gary. I didn't say, hey, call me Archie. Yes, Cheese, thank you all for being here. Many, many prayers for their families and friends to gain strength to get through this. It's bad enough losing a loved one, but losing in such a weird, unknown, mysterious way has to be, really just has to do something. I how could you sleep? You think of this and you think of that, and it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I'm sorry that they have to deal with it. And I do respect the fact that they want everybody to know their loved ones were not drug users, they're not drug addicts, and although they do think drugs likely will have a play in this, it's not because they were addicts. That's why I haven't watched a lot of it. So please update when legit info comes out. Makes me sick just knowing about it. I know. I hope you all enjoy your Saturday, and I will see you all back here shortly. Thank you for being here.